Brooklyn Independent Television.
Every September, I usually start the season off, our first show off, with this gentleman, Lloyd Rodriguez. He is president of New York City Pop Warner Football, and we're always discussing as far as the Clearinghouse, NCCA Clearinghouse, his league, and other things, especially what's happening in NCCA medically to players. But first, I'm going to start off with your league, New York City Pop Warner. You're president. How long have you been president of the league right now?
At the present time, I've been president since 2008. We're going into our third year, and the league seems to be picking up more this year, but definitely for a larger turnout of teams next year.
As far as your league, how many teams you have in your league right now?
Right now, we have about 6 associations, and we're looking to be floating around 10 to 12 next year. So there's
and the divisions, you have what, 4 or 5 divisions?
We actually have 6 divisions: the Tiny Mite division, all the way through the midget division.
And the team here in Brooklyn, you coach your team, right?
Yes,
Brooklyn
my organization is the Brooklyn Pit Bulls, and we're looking to have a great season this year also.
And you play most of your teams, your games?
Right. Well, because we only have 6 associations, North Jersey has been very generous in giving us scheduling teams from their league, and with us, Rockland County and also Mid-Hudson County has been very generous in scheduling games for the teams that may have a bye.
Now, your team is also tied into the NFL somewhat, too? Your league? Is there affiliation with the NFL at all?
Well, there's some good things going on right now with, I'd rather not say, but there's some things coming in with the NFL that we're looking to release later on in the year. So we want to keep that quiet right now, and we'll get that out to the people afterwards.
There seems to also be a growing trend. It's always been a trend, but I think it's really growing now, as far as where high school football teams are now becoming affiliated with certain teams in certain leagues, where they're allowing these teams to use their facilities in terms of getting some of these players. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, because in the PSAL, as far as basketball-wise, certain teams have been accused of having AAU teams that also funnel the players onto their high school basketball teams. And these AAU teams are traveling squads. And that seems to be the thing in basketball and in track and field, especially when it comes to AAU. Right. Is that growing in football?
That's growing huge in football. You know, once upon a time, maybe a year, 2 years ago, you know, a lot of high school teams, they didn't have a lot of respect for youth teams. I think we did a show earlier where they thought that the youth teams, the Pop Warner leagues and other leagues, they're not, you know, they make the kids feel like they're, you know, playing high school ball. So when they get to high school, there's not much they really know. But, you know, a lot of coaches at the youth level are actually putting in a lot of work at going to clinics and learning from Division I, Division II top high school teams in the country. And now they're coming back because these teams are producing more players, more talented players, and so they're reaching in. And it could be a good thing, but I always thought high school was a given, that you had to go to high school. And the high school that you should attend is usually a school that you're going to do well academically. Unfortunately, there are good high schools that don't have good football programs, and then there are high schools that don't have good academics, which have great football programs. And it's just sad if you have a child that needs a good academic school to end up in a school that's not doing well academically just to go play football. This could damage the kid down the line, and eventually we have more problems to deal with after this child either graduates high school or drops out of school.
So there are certain players, unfortunately, have special needs. Right. And those players have special needs, need those needs attended to, and therefore that school may not be able to attain those needs,
but coaches tend to help kids get in because we want the best high school team in the city. And it's all, you know, and after doing a little research, asking a few people what is it all about, it's just to win, just to win.
And that seems to be, I know at one high school, I saw a whole team out there. I was just driving by one day, and they were all out there practicing, getting ready for their upcoming season. And this was at one of the top high schools in the city.
Well, once again, I don't think it's a bad thing if there's an opportunity in a school and the student can do well, and that's a zone school, then that could be a great thing. But at the same token, if you're going to just feed kids to a certain school, then you may be, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's selfish, especially if the child could bloom in another school.
But on the coach's say, hey, the coach might say, this is not recruiting, what some people may look at it. I'm mentoring these teams.
Well, you know, recruiting is recruiting. You know, if you got the kids there, they're working on the field, coaches are there from the high schools. Like I said, I don't think it's a problem if the school is a zone
But usually
school.
the coaches are not on the field. They're up maybe in the classroom looking over the field.
Wherever they are, they're not far away. We'll put it like that. And they're definitely looking for the best talent they can get in the school. My thing is the school academically good?
Is there a way you feel that maybe the PSAL or the high school or Catholic high school leagues or even private schools that should handle this situation? Is it a very delicate situation?
Well, you know, there are a lot of schools that don't have the student body to house a high school team. Like, for example, we give a school like Benjamin Banneker, and there's a few little schools in the environment. These students can't come together and play under one school, but, you know, these big schools, which got, you know, the numbers are ridiculous, they're still taking kids out of these neighborhoods and taking them into these programs. You know, to me, that's a problem because, you know, now eventually one school's going to get majority players, which is going to make the lopsided. You know, so if you got a lot of kids ended up in one school and they're recruiting, which, you know, I don't know, they shouldn't be doing, but
all right.
that
Mentoring, right? All right. Yeah. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. First, this feature on one of the top high school football players here in Brooklyn now is in the Bronx playing at Fordham. We'll check him out, and we'll be back with more of our conversation after this. Welcome back. In case you're just joining me in the studio with me is Lloyd Rodriguez, president of New York City Pop Warner Football, which has 6 organizations right now throughout the city. We were talking about students with special needs when it comes to academics. Athletically, some of these athletes are superior, great talent, but in the classroom where you have to make the grade in order to play in the field is always not the case. And in the case we're talking about is basically the Clearinghouse, the NCCA Clearinghouse, which seems to be, I think, as far as you were telling me off camera, that some players, some coaches, maybe the schools are becoming a little bit more aware of it.
Well,
let me tell you one thing. I spoke to one player.
Okay.
It was before one of my interviews. I know the coaches may be a little bit mad at me, but I asked the player, I said, hey, what do you know about the Clearinghouse? He said, oh, and he's getting ready to graduate. You know, he's a senior. He said, I don't know anything. That's that. Really? I just left it at that.
I do believe, and once again, this is an opinion, but I do my own little surveys, going around, talk to the kids, you know, guys who play with my program or other programs that I know. And, you know, a lot of schools will claim they know, and chances are they do.
Right.
But once again, I think it goes back to that, who do they think that's going to make it? Who are they want to push? Who is the blue chip player in their school that they can help get recognition? I think everyone should know about it. I think everyone should be informed about it coming out of junior high school, or if you're on the team, I think there should be a day assigned just to teach them about Clearinghouse and what the classes they need and what the average they need to, you know, at least keep a 2.0 average or C average. I think these things are very important.
What is a Clearinghouse, by the way?
Clearinghouse is basically you have to take a certain amount of core classes and you have to maintain a certain average from 9th grade all the way to 12th grade, and then those classes, when you meet that requirement, then that makes you eligible to receive a scholarship for Division I, Division II.
Right. And also you have to take that SAT, the ACT, which is really one of also the requirements.
Correct. Very important. We do know that to register with Clearinghouse, it now went up. It took a nice big jump. I won't say where it came from, but it's up at $85 now. So it's very important to know. They also need to know that right now, Clearinghouse, NCCA is certifying the 2010 players. And for those who will graduate in 2011, they need to get their transcripts. They need to check their classes, make sure everything's correct before they send it out to the NCAA.
Now, what I have right here, how does the NCAA Clearinghouse get this information? First, your high school must submit all the required course information to the Clearinghouse. Second, you and your guidance counselor must work to submit transcripts, SAT test scores, all those national testing dates you have to meet. But most double check in a timely fashion. Also, these are some of the steps. that are required
Right.
in order to meet the academic requirements in NCAA Clearinghouse.
Right, and you also need to get a coach to activate your clearinghouse. You need it activated by a coach. Otherwise, it would just sit unattended, unchecked. So you may have everything correct and needed, but you won't know until a coach in the colleges that are looking to see. All right, they have to activate it. By activating, they're basically checking to see if you're eligible. And if you do not get this activated, then you're still in a dead position.
So you have to do your job and contact coaches.
You have to get and hopefully the coaches are interested in you to activate it. But if not, you need to reach out to them. You need to get whatever information out to them so they can know about you. And hopefully you've done this already before you get ready to graduate. But if you have this situated, everything set up already, you should be good.
Because parental involvement is also key too. That is half of it right there.
That is
right?
probably more than half of it. I have 3 children, who played, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of work. If your parents or someone is not dedicated into helping you and supporting you and doing this, you will get lost. You definitely need someone else. Students out there, you definitely need someone to help you with this clearinghouse. Very important.
You have contact with a lot of high school coaches, throughout your travels throughout the city. What are they saying to you about this?
Well,
do they feel offended because some of them watch the show, and also on the various websites like NYCFootball.com, their blogosphere. You're there also contacting some of these coaches or conversating.
Well, some of the coaches I spoke to, they're pretty good with it. There was one school I won't mention, but there was one school we were giving information out that my son attended, and it seemed like it was a problem. I don't know why, but maybe it's something they didn't think the kids were going to be able to do. I guess I'm hoping that these coaches don't think that these kids are qualified to do their schoolwork, or able to do their schoolwork. So with that being said, I think some of these I'm using a simple term. I think some of these coaches think some of these kids are stupid and that they're not going to get whatever they get. I mean, it happens in class, but if you give them a reason why they should have grades, if you give them some type of motivation and know that if you want this at the end of the road, you have to do this. Now, we tell the kids all the time we need good grades, but here's a reason why we need good grades.
And you have to get the good grades in order to perhaps get a scholarship.
And then that'll motivate, because I've seen kids even in my youth program where we need report cards. And so these kids are going back and stepping up on their schoolwork, because they want to play.
All right. So for more information about NCAA Clearinghouse, go to Google it or whatever, NCAA Clearinghouse, and
the new site I think is eligible.center.org.
All right, cool. We'll be back with more.
Eligibility.center.org.
Me and Lloyd right after this.
Become a fan on Facebook, like Brooklyn Independent Television.